In today's video, I'm going to be talking about everything that is currently missing from Baldur's Gate 3's early access, to give you an idea as to what to reasonably expect when the full game comes out. I get a lot of comments on videos where people demonstrate that they clearly haven't been keeping up with Baldur's Gate 3 news and information, and of course, understandably so. That's why I am here. I'm only going to be talking about things that have been confirmed or semi-confirmed by Larian in the past, so not things that we're hoping or wishing for. Let's jump on in. The first thing that I want to get out of the way right away is that there will be more acts to the game. This is probably obvious to most of you, but I read almost all of the comments on my videos and I promise you it's not as obvious as you may think. In early access, we only have access to a limited version of Act 1. As for how many acts in total, well, if we take a look at the Steam page for Baldur's Gate 3, it says this: though Act 1, the content for early access, is defined, Acts 2 and 3 are work in progress. So it seems like Baldur's Gate 3 will be 3 acts in total. We also know that Larian has said that every good story has a beginning, middle, and end, and that Divinity Original Sin 2 had 3 acts. Next up is that we will absolutely be getting more character creation appearance customization options. I also see this comment a lot, and I understand people's fears, as early access is fairly limiting in terms of what it allows you to make your character look like, especially with the face options. But fear not, there will be plenty of more options to choose from on the game's full release. Larian even said that this game will have more diversity in creation than any other game that they've done before. As for appearance sliders though, I would not expect those to be in the game, at least as of now, because Larian did say way back in a Q&A that sliders will not be in the game. Next up is a quick one. If you bought early access, you do not have to pay any more money when the game comes out. You're essentially pre-ordering the game and then getting access to an unfinished limited Act 1. When the game comes out, the entire game is yours, all 3 acts. One of the most common concerns that I see is players being upset that they cannot create a full party of custom characters. The good news is that the official release of the game, and perhaps even at a later stage of early access, you should absolutely expect the option to have a full custom party. You do not have to play this game with the companions that you meet along the way, although I'm sure that Larian would recommend doing that at least once, because many of these companions will have deep backstories, plenty of quests associated with them, and also their stories are deeply connected to everything going on around you. In the past, Larian has said that they're planning to allow us to create a full custom party right away in character creation, and they also mentioned hireable mercenaries, which I would assume would be customizable, that we'll meet when we're out adventuring. On a similar topic, you should also expect that the companions in the game will be playable as origin characters, meaning you also do not have to play with any custom characters if you don't want to. Playing as an origin character will give you a deeper experience with the companion that you choose, their past, present, and of course future, and some of these companions will very likely be canon characters in the D&D universe, so it's probably worth doing it with a few of them. I do want to point out though that it is possible that not every single companion will be playable as an origin character on the game's release. Larian said this in the past, but it seems like their goal is to make all of them playable. We just don't know for sure. I would assume the majority of them will be. Next up is that Baldur's Gate 3 will have connections to the original games, Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. Larian said many moons ago that they want to touch upon the story of Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 in meaningful ways, and there will also be returning characters. They even said that what happened in Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 will lead to what happens in Baldur's Gate 3, but that we might not see that at the start of our adventure, which would likely mean Act 1, but we'll quickly understand once we get further into the game. So to what extent they actually take this, I'm of course not sure. And will it be enough to satisfy fans of the originals? That will likely depend on who you ask. Baldur's Gate 3 does take place over 120 years after the events in Baldur's Gate 2, so that's of course going to make a seamless connection impossible. But it does seem like Larian has something big up their sleeve. I'll also point out in a non-spoiler way that some things have already been data mined, and these do confirm what I would say are fairly significant connections. Now let's talk about what classes we should expect on the game's official release. I oftentimes see players getting frustrated that the game doesn't have, let's say, the Paladin class. And it's okay to be frustrated that your favorite class is not in early access yet, but rest assured it will likely be there on the game's full release. As of now, 6 patches into early access, we have access to the Fighter, Rogue, Ranger, Cleric, Druid, Sorcerer, Wizard, and Warlock. And that leaves out Bard, Monk, Barbarian, and Paladin, all of which have been confirmed in the past. Larian has told us to expect all of the classes from the D&D 5e Player's Handbook. As for the Artificer class, which is in the Eberron D&D book, I wouldn't get too excited, but it hasn't been outright denied yet. Larian also said that we should expect to see all of the subclasses from the Player's Handbook, but I do think it's possible, and I'm just saying possible, that they may not pull through on that to a T. Generally speaking though, we should expect to see these missing subclasses: the Berserker and Totem Warrior subclasses for the Barbarian. The Bard should offer the College of Lore and the College of Valor. For the Cleric, we already have Life, Trickery, and Light, and the missing ones are Knowledge, Nature, Tempest, and War. For the Druid, we have both subclasses of Moon and Land, and for the Fighter, we currently have Battlemaster and Eldritch Knight, and are missing the Champion subclass. The Monk should offer the Way of the Open Hand, the Way of the Shadow, and Way of the Four Elements. The Paladin should have the Oath of Devotion, Ancients, and of course, Vengeance. We already have both of the Ranger subclasses, which are Hunter and Beastmaster, but note that Larian has modified them a little bit. For the Rogue, we already have the Thief and Arcane Trickster, but are missing the Assassin. We already have both subclasses for the Sorcerer, which are Wild Magic and Draconic. And for the Warlock, we already have the Fiend and Great Old One, but we're missing the Archfey. And last but not least, for the Wizard, we currently only have access to the Evocation and Abjuration school, and we're missing Conjuration, Divination, Enchantment, Illusion, Necromancy, everyone's favorite, and Transmutation. Most of those, if not all, will be in the game, and also the ones that we have access to now that are missing important features, such as the Great Old One Warlock, will probably have those features come the game's release. As for subclasses outside of the Player's Handbook, we have absolutely no idea. There are many of them that are extremely popular, such as the Hexblade for the Warlock class, so I would imagine that Larian has at the very least considered them. I guess it comes down to a matter of time and resources. We do know that the Player's Handbook, Monster Manual, and Dungeon Master's Guide are the primary sources of D&D material for Larian Studios, but we also know that they are pulling material from other books. They said that, we just don't know how much. Since we just talked about classes and subclasses, we might as well touch on the races. It is very likely that we will see all of the missing Player's Handbook races, which are Gnome, Dragonborn, and Half-Orc. Gnome and Half-Orc have basically been confirmed, and I can't see Larian leaving out the Dragonborn race, so I personally am expecting all 3. At the very least, you can 100% expect more than what we have now. It would be super cool if Larian threw in a couple races that we wouldn't expect, such as perhaps being able to play as an actual goblin, or maybe a furbolg, or perhaps even a turtle, which would of course make the best monk. For more in-depth videos on the missing classes, subclasses, and races, I'll leave links below in the video's description. Next up is that yes, we will be going to the actual city of Baldur's Gate. Not only do many of our quests indicate this, and many NPCs talk about it, but also Larian has said it themselves. This is one of the most exciting things in my opinion to get hyped about, as we haven't seen the city of Baldur's Gate in any modern day video games. Those of you who played Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, and even Dark Alliance 1 and 2, are probably extremely excited to revisit this city. I think many of the locations within the city will definitely have a lot of nostalgia tied to them. If any of you want to share a beer in the Elf Song Tavern, you let me know. Now I want to touch on multiclassing, another very common comment that I come across. Multiclassing has been said to be coming to the game, and that it will follow closely to the 5th edition rules. For those unfamiliar with multiclassing, basically when you level up, you have the option to continue with your current class or choose a new class provided you meet the requirements. Although Larian hasn't spoken on this topic in a very long time, as of now, I'm expecting it to be in the game. Those of you who are worried about missing important D&D 5e spells, I would also rest a bit easier as more spells have been confirmed. I recall Larian specifically already talking about Identify being in the game, and also the Shield reaction spell. In terms of difficulty levels, I hear this discussion brought up a lot because early access is currently only one difficulty level, which appears to be probably around what normal difficulty will be in the game. For some gamers, it's extremely hard. For some people, it's super easy. But rest assured, there will be different difficulty levels when the game actually comes out, perhaps even later in early access. I'm assuming that Larian Studios will go with something similar to what they did with DOS 2 and have a story mode where combat is extremely easy and gamers can just focus on immersing themselves in the world. There'll probably be some type of easy mode like explorer mode, a normal mode, a tactician mode, and then some form of hardcore mode, which could be the honor mode. I'm not entirely sure what they're going to call everything, where the game is extremely difficult. And lastly is the topic of split screen. Larian has said that the game will have split screen capabilities. And I think this will be awesome for you families out there that play D&D together. I know there's a lot of you on my channel. You can have mom and dad split screen on one PC and the two kids on the other PC. Although I'm not sure if all of you parents would actually have your kids share a PC. It sounds quite dangerous. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully I cleared up a few things for those of you who might not be able to keep up with Baldur's Gate 3 news as much as you would like. If you want to further discuss some of these matters, consider joining the Discord server. The link is below. It's completely free. And I'll catch you guys on the next one.